Go, I'm a princess. Tony's swelling now too. Show us how to swirl, Tony. Do the can-can. Da 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 da. Into you, so we just pop.
Has that shape? That corner just needs to go back. It's one slide.
And the elbows is fine. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Do you want to do a few more in this first, or then
Yeah, hug your knees. But just still sit up tall. Yeah.
And now still do like your head angle, like look that way.
Yeah.
Like angle those arms. Yeah, that one.
Oh, I'm just looking
Away.
Yeah, but yeah.
I think all right. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that one.
There's keys in this book that's going to help you do that. Can I say that again?
Angela, who is the book? Sorry, Angela, who should read the book?
Oh my goodness. How weird is that? Oh my goodness, to see it in your hands. So good. Feels so good.
Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Wow.
Wow, it
It's
looks so
finally
much
here.
better in the flesh.
Yeah. It's a real.
It really is. It actually, I love like the layout, the spacing in that. It's really good.
Yep. Oh, that's good.
So, I guess it's cool. Oh, well done.
You too.
I know, but like it's a combination, hey?
Yeah. It's a team effort.
You see a chapter start. Talk me through this new special edition, Beck.
Okay, so we have the gold on the extravagant, or the gold, hang on, let me stop.
I just want to see how it feels for you unpacking a book that's got your story in there.
I love unpacking books. I wish I could read. Now I'm really excited, really excited. There's some gold in this, and I hope you guys see it as well.
It's an exciting day.
Right, I best get the ironing done.
Box of books. We'll have a look inside. These are the special pre-release copies for those of you that signed up. It's coming your way.
Angela, here is your hardcover. Ta-da!
Wow.
I should have it on you.
Yeah.
Hang on, let's turn it around. You like
Looks so good.
that? Yeah. It's nice,
Yeah,
hey?
it's really, really nice.
Yeah. It's a whole different product when it's like you got paperback hardcover.
I love it.
Excellent.
Get your hard copy. Get the hard copy. I recommend the hard copy. Soft copy's good. Hard copy.
Yeah.
I can sign nicely in there.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
It's lovely.
Yeah, love it. Thank you. So good.
Pretty beautiful.
Got a boomerang hat.
Yeah.
See you. Yeah, it's good. Nice out here.
At a book launch. Never been to a book launch before.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, well, there you go. This is the first time for everything.
I don't usually know many people or read too many books.
No, you don't. Actually, maybe we should stand here. This is good. Yeah, if you stand there. There we go. All right, Chris. Well, we're just going to ask a few questions. Welcome to Angela Williams' book launch. So tell me, first of all, this is Chris, everybody.
Hello. How you doing, everybody?
Yeah, we're live streaming to the world right now. So like ABC, BBC, CNN, pretty much everyone. How do you feel about that?
Oh, that's okay. Hello, world.
So how do you meet Angela? How do you know Angela, first of all?
I met Angela probably 4 or 5 years ago by going to a church that she was attending, and I got to know her mainly through hanging out with her son Dara and looking after him and the youth of our church.
So are you looking forward to learning more about the behind-the-scenes life of Angela Williams?
I am actually. The parts that I know are fairly fascinating, and her story and what I know, I actually want to read the book and actually know the ins and outs of how she got to where she is now.
So you're probably going to get some of that insight today, but of course the book's going to go into a lot more detail. Are there any stories that you know about Angela and Noel, perhaps, that have made you laugh or cry or anything like that, or anything that surprised you about them as a couple?
Well, I'm surprised that she married Noel, because he's an interesting fella. That's for starters. But one thing that I'm looking forward to reading or finding out more about is a ministry she started back in England, where she actually went out and was trying to help women get off the street or were selling themselves and helping them out whichever way she could. That fascinates me, and I want to know about how she was able to help those people and be a blessing to them.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm looking forward to that as well. I think a lot of people are. Chris, thanks so much for chatting. Is there just one last message you might want to give to Angela, a word of encouragement, or any words to her friends that might be watching from overseas, so they can share a little bit of what's going on today without actually being here, obviously? Any words you want to say?
Well, there's a lot of people here. It looks like a great time we're going to have. But, I think the thing we can all do is just continue to encourage her and keep, just speaking words of life over her. And, it takes a bold step to do what she's doing and to put her story out there. Hopefully, we can help her spread that around the world and impact the nations for greater good.
Awesome. Wise words, my friend. Thank you so much for being our first to share on our live stream today. We're, of course, at the book launch for Angela Williams, and Extravagant Life, Extravagant Love is going to be officially available from today. So pretty exciting. Looking forward to hearing everybody's reactions. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Stu.
Let's go and find somebody else, shall we?
Tony's swelling now, Tony. Shows how to swirl, Tony.
Here's a couple of very exciting women.
I was told to keep away from you.
Do the can-can.
I'm following you. I'm following you guys. Liam's just walked away, but that's okay. He's going to come back in a minute. He knows I'm just setting up the shot. I pretty much guarantee it. Pretty much,
Good.
yeah.
I did a bit.
It'll be
Not
good.
that we might get home.
That's the plan. And we're just waiting for Liam to come back. I'm not sure why he's walked away, but the sound is live, so
Great,
we're now
that's awesome.
live on audio. So the world is watching us.
I had a lovely photo taken too, which is great.
What's that?
I had a lovely photo taken, which is
Oh,
really
good. There we go.
Love a copy.
Excellent.
Series coming back, so.
Brilliant. Now what we're going to do. There we go.
It's camera.
Oh, were you after food now, were you? It's good timing. Yeah.
I recognise Simone's son.
Oh, yes, this is Liam. Well, you saw him last night.
Yeah.
So, we're going to just... Rob steal you away for just a moment.
Yep.
And I know it's very loud in here, but let's start off by just first of all share who you are and why you're here.
I'm Bernie, and I'm a friend of Angela's, and I'm just so proud to be here today. She's just such a beautiful, humble, amazing woman who's got such a story, but she's just a woman of grace and of just like so much enthusiasm for life. She's been through so much. She has so much, but you know what? She gives so much. And I think as a person, she's just, she's an honour to know. She's just an incredible person. I love her so much.
Ditto to that. And Greta, do you want to introduce yourself? So I just said Greta, but there we go. Greta.
My name is Greta Stanley. I'm the founder of Daughters of the King Global, and I first met Angela a few years ago at a ladies' breakfast, and I was very impressed with her story of how she's impacted so many people throughout her life, and so it's just a joy and an honour to be here.
No,
She's awesome.
She is awesome. It's an exciting thing, isn't it, as friends of Angela's, to be able to encourage her on a day like today when, it's kind of like having a baby, I think, in a sense, without maybe the pain, I don't know. Greta... Well, I wouldn't know, but my wife tells me. But Greta, you've written a book. Was it painful to give birth to the book?
Do you know what? It's probably the easiest thing I've ever done.
Oh, wow.
Because the whole thing was never my idea. It was just simply telling the story of what God did through my obedience. And so it took 3 months. That's it.
Maybe that encouraged me to write. Maybe I should write a book.
Well, you know what, Bernie, I was going to say, isn't there a saying that says there's a book in all of us?
I think so.
Do you feel a book in you, Bernie?
I do. I do think there's a story to come out one day, but it's being birthed at the moment, as they say. So she's encouraging me, you're encouraging me, and well, who knows what today's going to bring. Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
We do have a story. And Angie's story is just amazing. It's just a humility on a plate, but she is love. She's lovely. Yeah.
That's so good. So good. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing with the world. We're obviously at the book launch here for Angela Williams. Very exciting. Thank you for that. I'm going to go and see if we can find some other people that we can capture a few words from as well. But thank you, ladies. Look, we're on camera again. Don't turn your back. Turn around, look, we're still on camera. There we go. We've got live photographers and everything. There we go. Sarah and Jason, you would love to be on TV, wouldn't you? Not really. Well, the good news is this isn't television. It's different. It's our own private channel called Angela Williams, Extravagant Life to Extravagant Love. Would you like to just say a few words for her friends and family that might be watching from overseas to encourage them, even though they can't be here, and there are many people obviously in New South Wales and Victoria and probably all around the world that would like to have got on a plane to see Angela launch her book today. Have you got any words of encouragement for Angela? Share who you are, first of all. Sorry, I should have said that.
We're Sarah and Jason, and we live here at Tanawara on the Sunshine Coast, and we just want to say a huge congratulations. From from conception through to birth, this has been an extraordinary journey, so congratulations, Angela, and the whole family that have stood by her and seen this come to fruition.
Yeah, that's good. Now, we were just saying, it's funny you talk about the birth sort of narrative, if you like, the idea that this is like birthing a baby in a sense. I mean, do you feel, we were just saying, first of all, are you intrigued by what might be inside the book? Like, because, how well do you know Angela?
We're not close, we're acquaintances, but the book cover is incredible. It's just so dynamic, and you just look at it and you go, ooh, I want to read it, I want to see what's inside.
Yeah, that's good. Now, Jason, we were just saying that apparently there's a book in everyone, right? I think that's or is it a movie in everyone? I don't know, maybe. Or both. Do you feel like there's a book brewing in your heart to share one day? I mean, you guys have been on quite a journey yourselves.
Yeah, I think Sarah's more the writer than I am, but I'd be more of a short story sort of a guy.
I love short stories. They're great, Why not? Could do that.
There is a book on its way, and it's called Are You All In?
Are you serious? That's great. You've got a book on the way. Fantastic. Have you written a book before? It seems that, you know, in the world of digital, books, analog things like books are not dead, are they?
No, I'm an avid reader. I love it. That's my time. Yeah.
And there are also audiobooks as well. Angela Williams has created an audio version of the book, which is pretty exciting. So, you know, that's always out there as well. Yeah. Any final thoughts of encouragement for Angela and Noel, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it's just a blessing that everyone's come out today on this beautiful Sunshine Coast day, and we just wish them all the best in Lord's favour upon them.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jason. Thank you, Sarah. All right, we will go and interview some other people, but thank you for your time. Catch you later. Here we go. Let's go and find some other people, shall we? Very exciting. I can see Mike, Jeff's over there, and Richard Daniel. I might go and see if I can hit them up. Just a moment. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm very well. How are you? Good. Very nice to see you too, Richard. You're probably on air at the moment, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, which is like, he's like, you know, it's Inception or whatever it is. The Interstellar kind of being in two places at once.
I'm just running out in between records. I'm just going outside there and doing it in the car.
Oh, dear.
Quickly say something and come back in. It's all done with mirrors. What are you doing?
I am going to ask you if I can just grab a couple of words of wisdom from you for Angela.
Go for
We'll
it.
just grab for both of you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, are you okay for us just to quickly grab something for the stream?
What's the question?
Oh, it's just a chat, really. Just how do you know Angela, and you know any words of encouragement. I'm actually going to reference the fact that, of course, your quote is on the front cover of the book. So hold that thought.
Say again.
I don't know. It's over there.
Here it is.
No, it's not on there. It's on the other copy. Yeah. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Anyway, sorry. Stay right where you are.
I'll get you. Don't worry.
We're still online. We're live streaming. Friends of Angela's and Noel's, probably in the UK, are fast asleep right now. But when they wake up in the morning, hopefully they're going to check out this video. And for those that are online right now, welcome. I'm chatting to a couple of dear friends of mine, Mike Jeffs and Richard Daniel, who are residents of the Sunshine Coast, both broadcasters as well, and very much involved in media. This is an exciting form of media, a print media, you know, and books obviously have a big place. I know you're an avid reader. I know that, Mike. Maybe a slightly different genre of books.
I've read the book yet. I've read the first one you recommended to me, so there you go.
Good. Well, thank you. There'll be more. You can recommend some to me too. But first of all, Mike, I'll start with you because you're if I could say, like a mentor to Angela, and she's even put your quote on the front cover. Just knowing what you do about Angela and her as a person, what does it feel like to be here today, knowing that she's launching this book?
Yeah, look, so pleased and just full of praise for Angela, because I mean this is a dream come true, and it hasn't happened overnight. It's her life story, and so when you read that story, as I did for the first time, it really touched my heart. And it isn't about extravagant love and sharing that love with others. And Angela did that so well in the book. So for her, Noel and Dara and the family, just so encouraging, so excited for them on this very exciting day.
Yeah, that's really good. And so if I can put you on the spot then and just ask, what does it mean, extravagant love, to you?
Extravagant love it's the ultimate love. It's how you can take what you've got to share it with others, just as Jesus did for us. And so if we can do that in our sphere of influence, whatever that may be, that's extravagant love in action. Yeah.
That's so good. I 100% agree. And Richard, now you're somebody that is, someone who is a broadcaster, someone that's well listened to on the Sunshine Coast, and people, you know, you're an influencer on the coast, right, and around Australia. What do you feel about this book? What kind of impact do you think this story? What do you imagine this story is going to do in terms of influencing people that read it?
Yeah, the interesting thing is, I still like getting out a book. I can't read a book yet off a tab. I still have to, buy the book. So I'm looking forward to getting on a plane for 8 hours where I can just literally get stuck into it and read it. Yeah, next year, exactly. All right, and flying to the UK to say hello to all you people. But look, I think it's just great that she's actually written the stories down. I haven't read it yet. As I say, I'm looking forward to getting into it. But it's great when you can actually get to the stage of writing your thoughts down on a book and sharing it, right? And I'm sure there's some truths in there that she must have thought about. Do I write this? Do I not? Do I share this? Do I not? She's obviously gone to the stage of putting it down, and I think that's fantastic. So well done.
And Richard, you know, obviously, Angela's family quite well. I mean, you know her father.
Who's also written a book.
Who's also written a book.
As well. It's going on in the family.
I know, everyone.
Barb's written a book. Barb Edmondson's written a book. So
everyone's writing a book these days. Yeah.
Stu have to write a book. Exactly. Write a book, Stu.
I think we should all write a book. That's what we should do.
We'll do the prelude to it.
That sounds good.
Can you think of something nice to say about it?
Well, I mean, the thing is, Angela's got a lot to write about. That's the thing. Let's be fair. She's had quite an interesting life, and you knowing so much about, the family. I mean, and your kind of insight into as being an employee of CV. I mean, where would you start with a family like that with so many angles?
I think you've got to go right back to the beginning, and I'm sure she's done that in the book, going right back. I've heard some of the story when she's talked at functions and whatever, and it's an amazing story. So if some of that story is in this book, which I'm sure it is, it'll be great reading for not only those people that do know the family, but just to find out, I guess, how the other half live in a way, and some of their stories.
And Mike, if I can also ask you this then, like another deep question, because the thing is, some people watching or even reading this book might say, well, that's all very well for Angela because she's got, an incredible life and she's had all these opportunities. I'm not sure am I really as important as that? Do I have, when we took the title as Extravagant Life, I don't feel like I've had much of an extravagant life perhaps, but is there a story in all of us?
Yeah, I think there is, and it's a great example of going out and seeing an opportunity to help others and actually putting your work boots on, literally, and going and do that just as Angela did. So against all odds, she went and did the very thing that she was totally foreign to her. And that was, like for her, a defining moment in her life, and it's changed her life to where she is today.
Yeah. So if I can say then, we probably all got an opportunity to put our work boots on and find what the thing is that we can live extravagantly in.
That's it. Whatever. And there are opportunities all around us. We don't have to look too far, but it's having that heart and that mindset to do it when you see that opportunity and grab it with both hands.
Love it.
Well done. Looking forward to reading it.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Richard. Enjoy the rest of the party. Catch you later. All right, Extravagant Life to Extravagant Love. We are interviewing a few people around here. Let's find some other people, shall we? Give me just a moment and see who we can find. Stay tuned. Welcome to the World Wide Web television. We are streaming to every nation, every corner of the earth. Yes. Not everyone may be awake at the moment, but when they do wake up, they'll be able to watch this intriguing conversation that we're going to have right now. Right. And we know each other well, but those folks out there on the interwebs, as my father calls it, they may not know who you are. So how about, first of all, before we get into a deep and meaningful on Angela, can you introduce yourself for the world and tell us how you know Angela?
Okay, so my name's Morag Payton and I come from New Zealand. And I've actually worked with you. Isn't that exciting? Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And I actually know Angela because she turned up to a work function that we were having, that you organised. And I went up and introduced myself to her and then realised that she was Angela, Bob's daughter. So ever since then, we've connected from that night on.
So I didn't realise that was the first time you met. Yeah. I would have thought you would have, well, there you go.
I had no idea who she was.
Well, now you do. And has your life been different ever since?
Oh, my life has been changed.
Now, you know the Edmondsons, obviously you know Bob. We've both worked with Bob and the family and everything.
Yeah.
Are you intrigued to know what insights Angela is going to kind of give into the backstory of her life in this book?
I am. I am less intrigued though because I've already read the book.
Oh, I didn't know you'd already read it. You're one of the pre-readers.
I'm one of the pre-readers. So I've had the inside knowledge.
And you're here.
And I'm here, and I think the book is awesome. Loved it. it made me cry many parts of the book. So and I'm not so much of a reader.
You are a crier, though.
I am a crier. I'm a crier. I cry at things that move my heart and touch the heart of God. So I feel like that's where she's just really locked into that area. But yeah, I don't read very much at all, and I read the book while I was on holiday, and it took me just less than 3 days. So that means that the book was good, in my opinion.
That's a pretty good indication of a good book. If you can't put it down, and you were probably reading a lot, like almost non-stop, I'd imagine, to get through it in 3 days. That's good.
Not quite non-stop, but every moment that I had where I could just sit down on a little lounger by the pool and read the book, I was in there. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. Well, there you go. If someone's having a holiday planned, somewhere in Europe that are watching this video right now, they got movement, they can move around and that kind of thing, they could take this book with them on their wonderful holiday and read it. That's good. But so you highly encourage reading of it. That's great. Tell me a little bit about what's going on today, because not everybody's obviously able to get here. But what are you experiencing here today, Morag?
Well, lots of fun and laughter, friends, some drink and some food, which is great. Some nice hot weather. It's actually quite hot. We've got the doors open and the air conditioning on, but it's not so air conditioned. So it's around about 30 degrees outside, I think. And so I'm starting to get a nice glow. But
being from New Zealand, it doesn't have to get that much above 10 degrees, right?
No.
And you are from the South Island too.
I'm from the South Island.
And not just the South, but the South of the South Island.
The South of the South. Although I do like hot weather, so it's nice.
I know, you've been here a long time.
Oh, yeah, and it's a little bit humid today. And then there's just lots of, there's beautiful music. We can hear that in the background. And there's lots of nice people to talk to.
Great. Well, thank you very much for talking to me. It's lovely to see you, Morag.
Lovely to see you too.
We're gonna have to pause there because I think we're going actually into our main event in just a few moments.
Yes.
But great to chat to you, and I hope we can share a glass of one of those. Well, not share a glass. I'll probably get my own one because that's a COVID-safe thing to do. We are socially distanced. The camera makes it look like we're really close, but we're actually like 4 meters apart right now. It's amazing. Just in case. Yeah, and we've got these new invisible masks that I invented, and I'm going to make a lot of money on eBay with. Wouldn't that be great? I just came up with that idea. Don't steal it. If you heard that, you heard it here first. I'm patenting that idea straight away. Morag, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Catch you later.
Yeah, see you.
See you. All right, there we go. There's a few little conversations. I think we're about to sit down and enjoy all the fun and laughter and tears. Probably a few tears as well, I'd imagine. So we're going to go back to the live stream of the slideshow for a few moments before we get into the live event. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Angela, who is the book? Angela, who should read the book?
Congratulations! Woohoo!
Hold that, I'll try it. Like a cracker. Oh my goodness. How weird is that? Oh my goodness, to see it in your hands. So weird.
Feels so good.
Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Well
Wow,
done.
it looks so
Let's find
much
it.
better in the flesh.
Yeah. It's a real.
It really is. It actually, I love like the layout, the spacing in that. It's really good.
Yep. Oh, that's good.
So, like it's cool. Oh, well done.
You too.
I know, but like it's a combination, hey?
Yeah. It's a team effort.
You see a chapter start. Talk me through this new special edition, Beck.
Okay, so we have the gold on the extravagant, the gold, hang on.
It's really, really nice.
Yeah. It's a whole different product when it's like you've got paperback hardcover.
I love it.
Excellent.
Get your hard copy. Get the hard copy. I recommend the hard copy. Soft copy's good. Hard copy.
Yeah.
I can sign nicely in there.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
It's lovely.
Yeah, love it. Thank you. So good.
Pretty beautiful.
Got a boomerang hat.
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Can I ask a favor before we get started? It would be awesome if you could all scoot a little bit to the middle. If there's a seat next to you, if you could scoot a little bit to the middle, because we've got some other people who just want to get in. It's just easier for them to get in on the sides rather than walk down the aisle and make a whole spectacle of themselves. So that would be awesome. Hey, so we are here today to celebrate Angela and the launch of her new book. Isn't this exciting? It's so exciting that we get to be here and sharing this day with her. Show of hands, who's read the book? Okay, who's got a copy of the book? Awesome. Well, those couple of people who didn't put your hands up, it's great. We've got the book here and you can buy it now before you leave, so that's going to be good, hopefully. My name is Dave. I'm a friend of Noel and Angela's, and I got the task of speaking with you all and introducing everybody today, which I'm thrilled to be able to do. Just to get some housekeeping things out of the way. If you are a smoker in the room, let's have a talk afterwards about why you shouldn't be smoking. But if you need to smoke, there's a place just outside. You can just duck out that fire safety door and you can find a place to smoke out there. If there's some sort of incident that happens, which I don't know what that would be, but if you need to get out in a hurry, there's an escape route just over there. If you look over, Tony is currently modeling it for us, Tony and Beck. And if you need to go to the bathroom, I know it's a bit of a, where are the bathrooms in this place? They're actually around behind the bar, which when you think about it is actually convenient because on your way back out, you can get another drink. So if you need to go to the bathroom, that's where they are as well. We've got a couple of things that we're going to run through from a program perspective. And so I'm just going to walk you through some of those things. We're going to have a chat with Angela a little bit later on. And we're also going to have a time where you're going to be able to ask Ange any questions that you have. They can be about the book or they can be about anything, really. She's going to take questions from Noel and she's going to take questions, which apparently he's got more, he was trying to text me last night questions to ask, and I'm like, no, just do it yourself. You'll be fine. It'll all be good. And really today is just a chance for us to find out a little bit more about the book, and more importantly than that, find out what this book is about and what the message behind it is, because that's one of the things that I'm so excited about being here about is what Ange has planned for after the book is launched. Because really, this is not the end of a journey for her. This is the start of a journey, and she wants all of you guys to come along for the ride. So we're going to hear a little bit more about that later on. Also want to take the opportunity right now to welcome everybody who is watching us online. If you are sitting in a seat, turn around and wave to the camera up the back. There are people watching from 16 different countries, including the UK, Portugal, Sweden, Thailand. They're the only ones I could think of at the moment. I'll make up some more later on. But as you walk past that camera, make sure that you say hello to people, okay? Because they're going to be watching for the entire afternoon, so it's going to be really good. Hey, right now, I'm going to take a moment just to welcome up the amazing publishers of this book from Star Label Publishing. They're going to come up now, Tony and Beck. Beck, I hope I can call you back. And they're just going to share a little bit about their insights into the book and the stories that surround the whole book being published. There's another microphone just there. I'm going to leave you guys to it.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Dan.
Am I turning this on?
Hello to
Yes,
everyone
at
on
the
live
bottom.
streaming. And hello to everyone here.
I think I'm on.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm Tony and Rebecca. Welcome. What an exciting time it is to come today and see this wonderful book. We thought we would take you on a little bit of a journey, linguistic journey, on what is involved in publishing a book.
So today is so special because it's months and months of work that has been put into this book. Now, great celebration of the end product. And as Dave said, it is just the beginning of the next journey. So the bit of the journey that we've been on so far began with when Angela came to us with her manuscript. Now, that was probably October last year, I believe.
Yes, so look, books normally will take about 18 months to publish. So this one's been published relatively quickly. And when Angela approached us with her book, we always like to see what books are, the new books when they come through, and what the potential is. And Angela's sparked interest in us. Why did that Why was that so?
Back to me. So we loved reading Angela's manuscript, and the books that we like to publish are books that make a difference to the world. And reading through Angela's manuscript, it really does make a difference. And I think you can't read Angela's book without changing somehow or being inspired. And when I got to the end of her book, I was definitely inspired and I was challenged, and that was the first manuscript that did that for me. So I knew straight away this was going to be a gem. And I know for those of you who have read it already, you probably know what I'm talking about. It takes you on so many different levels, and you're laughing and you're crying and then you're impacted, and it's a beautiful book. So when it first came to us, we went through the process of reading the first manuscript, and then as we started putting it, doing the editing, there are some changes that get made along the way. So the final copy of the book is often a lot different to the first manuscript that we're given. I think what happens is when you're writing a book, and for all authors, you get your thoughts down and it makes a lot of sense, and it's great. Like, you've written your book and this is what you want to say. And as you go through the publishing process, you start realising that other people are going to read it. And, and then you're like, oh, I don't know if I'll keep that bit in it. It might be too boring, or it might be something people don't need to know about. And so you go through a whole lot of processes, and then when you finally see your book with a cover on it, reality hits, and we'll probably talk about that later with Angela. And then you're like, wow, this is really going to be read by the world, or those who purchase it throughout the world. And that's really exciting, but there is a whole psychological change that you go through during that process of editing and just refining and getting exactly the story that you want, the right message that you want to come through at the end. And then when you do finally see it, it's like a baby, and then you're about to release this baby into the world, so you want to be completely 100% happy with your final product.
And there's an interesting thing with Angela's book particularly, and a lot of people ask us, why do we choose certain books? Angela had an honesty in her book that was a little hard to overlook. It was really raw, and she was being very honest and vulnerable. Part of the role of publishing is also to protect our authors, to make sure that we're couching the book in such a way that her story is presented how she intended it to and not misinterpreted. So there was a lot of layers of editing, thousands and thousands and thousands of words, multiple copies of the book in all different forms and variations to get to what you see today. And most importantly is the message that's actually in the book. And it's a beautiful message, which I'm not going to steal the thunder by sort of identifying what the message is, but I'll tell you where it heads. It heads to what comes after this book. It's all actually about you. Angela's story particularly is to help motivate the reader, you, to take your position and do something to change the world. And that was something in the book that we really loved, is that the book, often biographies can be very centered around the author themselves. This one is actually about the reader and about the people along the way that also challenged Angela in her journey and helped her go from extravagant life to an extravagant love.
And it really does show Angela's beautiful heart, and she just loves so much. So when you see the words extravagant love, that is Angela. And we've had a great journey together, and I've seen it on so many levels. And I just say, God bless you, Angela, and all the best. All the best.
Yes. Well done. Put your hands together for Angela.
Let's hear it for them one more time. From Star Label Publishing, Beck and Tony. I actually skipped, I was meant to thank the wind band that was playing earlier. I don't know if you call them a band. What do we call them, Dara? A quartet? Okay. Quintet. They were quintessential. Let's cheer them loud enough that they can hear out there. Okay, they didn't hear. Okay. So they say that behind every successful man there is a surprised woman, and on a day like today, behind every successful woman, there's a man who is extremely proud because his wife has done something that he always knew that she could. And so it's my pleasure to welcome up Noel, who's going to talk a little bit about Ange, and then introduce. This is your cue, Noel. This literally was your cue. They say never work with children, animals, or Noels. So take it away, Noel. Take it away.
Welcome, everybody. Obviously, here we've got some friends, we've got some family, and we've got friends that we haven't met yet. So, Angela, as you all would know, if you do know her, she's a very special lady. She has got a warm heart. She's driven, and she's purposeful, and she's one of the very few people on this planet I admire. And excuse me, I could choke up a little bit there. And her journey hasn't been an easy one over the years. Complications of husbands and and other things. I mean, the last time I spoke to a group like this, it was an AA meeting. But she's got such a heart to see change and purpose in people's lives, and she's stepped out into an area of a city that's pretty synonymous with a lot of bad things as well as some great things, and she took on the armour and actually went out there and made a difference in people's lives, and that to me is she's a woman of action. That's what the boots on the thing said. She puts the foot on the pavement and walks it, and she walks and talks the same story, the same thing. It's her. You cut her in the middle, and that's what it says on the inside. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my wonderful wife.
For those of us who have read the book, there is, you know, as Tony and Beck said, it's such an authentic, genuine, real story where it was raw and nothing was really held back. But there's a whole chapter basically dedicated to you. I wanted to ask you what that was like for you to read that, because you know people are going to hear a huge part of your story as part of this book launch.
Not easy. It was like a portion of my life that. Obviously, I can't deny it happened because it did, and everything good and bad makes us who we are today.
Yeah.
And you have to embrace that and you have to own it.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't easy because I read it and then I could see the hurt and feel the hurt, but also feel the hopes she had. And I felt highs and lows of actually being responsible for that. So it wasn't an easy chapter for me to read.
What I took away from hearing part of your story, and especially hearing your wife, first of all, that's hard. I don't know if I'd want my wife to be sharing my story, which she probably will now, but...
Go for it, Meg.
But what I loved about, what I took away from it was there was a sense of, as you said, hope for you and the man that you are, and that we all get to experience now is not that same person. Is that a fair assessment?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
and what would you put that down to? Obviously, you know, your marriage is a huge part of that.
it's her faith. She's got faith in people. She's got faith in God.
Yeah.
And she sees the best in people, thankfully.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes. You did make it challenge, I agree.
I like to make people work for it. You know?
Yeah. And just before Noel goes, Ange, is there anything in that section on Noel specific? I know he's weaved in and out of the story the whole way through, but is there anything that you left out that you feel like you could share right now?
It was left out for a purpose,
Yeah.
Dave.
Okay.
We
All
learned
right.
about the process of editing. Tony and Beck were very good.
Awesome. Let's hear it for Noel one more time. Noel, thank you.
That's probably the most serious I've ever heard my husband. It was quite emotional.
He is a fantastic man, seriously. He is a fantastic man. So, Ange, we're going to take a few minutes just to have a chat about, get some insights from you into the book and this whole process. And so I guess, you know, for me, the number one question that I want to keep asking you over and over again, because I want to keep hearing it because it's so inspiring, is what is your hope? What is your hope what do you hope people will take away from reading this book cover to cover?
Yeah, one of the main sort of paraphrases in there is that life isn't really about how extravagantly you live, but how extravagantly you love. And that really is the only thing we can control in this life, is what we give to it. And it doesn't have to cost us anything to do that, it just costs us love. And when you give in love, you reap back rewards, and it's the most fulfilling journey. So yeah, that amongst many things, but that is the main theme really for me, is to love extravagantly.
Yeah. Now, we've talked about this personally, but also I'd love for you to share it with everybody else. This is the story of your life, but it's so much more than a story. I read it, and for me, it was a call to action.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Is that what you want people to take away from it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, you know, we're in a world where people look to things like wealth and possessions and materialism, and they think that value and fulfillment is held in those things. And coming from that background where, you know, I have access to all those things, I can tell you that, you know, even amongst that world for me, fulfillment was found in a totally different area. Fulfillment was found in who I am and what purpose is on my life. You can live with all this wealth and materialism and have no purpose. Well, that's no life at all. You know, and I wanted to activate people into a life of purpose. And for me, purpose is about how we're interacting with one another, how we're seeing each other, how we are loving the people that are in our world and on the fringes of our world. And I know from experience, and hopefully you'll read it in the book, that is where the greatest fulfillment is.
Yeah, that's so good. And it's not just about the fulfillment. I feel like you helped us, you revealed to us the purpose that you found in loving extravagantly more than anything else. Well, the world tells us that we should, you know, invest in wealth and make money. What I got from your book is that real success, real purpose comes from investing in people and making friends and making a difference. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And of course, you know, as being a Christian, my faith journey is a big part of that, and is intertwined in the story very significantly. And I think, you know, for me, doing what I felt God had called me to do was the greatest fulfillment.
Yeah. So we're looking at the cover here. Obviously, we love the cover because it pops so much, and it's got such, there's such a story behind it. What was the journey for you to arrive at this specific final cover? Can you take us through that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree that the cover just, like, everyone says how they just love the cover. And it was really a journey, and I think, you know, sometimes we can write a book and we put so much effort into the actual words and the content, and the afterthought is the cover. But really, if you want people to read it, which you do as an author, that's why you write your book, is so much has to go into the cover, and you have to think, in a snapshot, you've got to be able to communicate exactly what your message is so that people will want to read it. So I went to the publishers, and obviously the word extravagance makes 50% of the title, and so we thought it's got to show something that, you know, is extravagant. There's a few stories in there about ball dresses, and I've been to a few, you know, nice do's and things where I'm wearing ball dresses. So I thought that's going to show extravagance really well. So I went to Tony and Rebecca, and we sat down and we thrashed away a few ideas. And I think there's one picture that's coming up, and we just thought about me in a ball dress. I've got to press a button apparently. Can't even see what I'm doing, am I? There. So we looked at this picture and we thought, oh, that really kind of says extravagance, with all the gold glitter coming off it, and in a ball dress, and the nice little look on her face. So we thought about that, but then we thought, but, you know, that can just look like extravagance. It doesn't actually tell the other side of the story. And there's a significant moment in the book. In fact, the book starts with this, and it's a tunnel scene. And so the second picture, done it. I'm so proud of myself. Was a tunnel. So we went to a graphic designer, who's Andre. If you want to give us a wave, Andre, he's sat right here. He is the mastermind behind the front cover. So we went to him with these two ideas and we said, okay, we want extravagance, but we want the opposite side, like the dark tunnel. And we want to combine these two into a front cover. So we gave him our idea, and then we said, but also we understand you're a man that's creative, you're in graphic design, and you're going to have your own ideas. So why don't you come up with your idea, and then you put together our idea and see which one we like. So this was what Andre came up with, which was our idea, and we looked at it and we thought, oh, I really like that. We put it out to the Facebook group, this one and the next one you're going to see. We put it out to the Facebook group, and it was completely divided, wasn't it? It was like 50%, 50-50. I'm like, okay, so what do I do now? All was going well until in walks Dave to the conversation, and he says, well, that is very Mills and Boon.
I'm so sorry, Andre. I mean, really put me on the spot. But am I right?
Yeah. Oh, he knows, because I already talked to him about it then. And then someone else said to us, it looks like a teenage romance novel. So that was it. I said,
Mills
okay.
and Boon.
So I said, okay, we're not doing that. So this is the one that Andre came up with.
Brilliant.
And well, as soon as I saw that, it popped off the page, and I was like, yes, I definitely picked that up, off a shelf. But it doesn't necessarily tell the other side of the story. And obviously we've got the work boots here. And you may notice from the actual cover we've got that we've actually reshot that photo, because I didn't really like the look on my face. I look like I'm here, but I don't really want to be. I think the camera caught me wrong. And the boots looked like they were far too clean, like I haven't done a day's work in my life, which is probably true, but I didn't want people to know that. Sorry, my thing's wrong. So we went back to Andre and we said, okay, how can we combine these two ideas into something that I think will be the right impression that we want to get? And so we thrashed away through ideas, and Andre happens to be married to a wonderful lady who is an artist. Is that your official? Yeah, an artist. And we went through a few different colours and came up with the final combination of the two. And as soon as we saw that, we were like, yes, that's exactly what we want to say. It is extravagance, but there's definitely with a twist. And so we dirtied up the boots and put the tunnel scene in. I'm really, really happy with the final result. So why don't we give Andre a big round of applause?
Can't believe you threw me under that bus as it was going through the tunnel. And so you've told us the story of how you got to this cover, but what do you want people to take away from the cover? What is your hope that they'll remember, or what is the message behind the cover? Why was the tunnel so important?
Well, I think I wanted people to first see the extravagance, like the red dress, I think that's the first thing that draws you in. And it's kind of a picture of my life, really. I think people are they see this nice lifestyle, and that's the first impression they get. But actually the reality of that is far more, and that's why I wanted to show, that particularly the work boots, that actually underneath the dazzle of life is someone that is a normal person that just wants to get the job done. Yeah, and I think that's what that shows.
Yeah, that's great. So this has been a long process for you, the whole writing process, and then the publishing process, and then putting on an event like this. What has been your favourite part of that whole journey?
Well, I mean, I think it's just meeting the people, working with Tony and Rebecca. It's just like when you're being vulnerable and honest with your story, it's just amazing the connection and the deep connection that you have with those that are on the journey with you. And I even think like the guy, I've done an audiobook recording, and I did that over a number of weeks. Didn't know the person, the audio technician at the start. By the end of it, we knew each other pretty well. He really knew me very well by the end of it. But it bonds you. You have this deep connection, and Dave and Meg have been on board, and Stuart and Jeanette and various others you'll get to see later. And to me, it was those connections with people that came on board saying, yes, I really love this story, I really love the message, I want to partner with you in getting this out there. And so thank you, Dave and Meg and all of you.
It's our pleasure. So you mentioned the audiobook. What was that like? What was it like to stand and read your own story back to yourself? What was that like?
That's when I realised, am I really telling that story? Yeah, check out the story with Noel and his few outbursts. I won't do a spoiler, but as I was reading some of these things back, I'm like, and there's some languages in there, like some people with a Manchester accent, for instance, it's dialogue, and I think, how am I meant to do that? It was actually really challenging. And so the first attempt, I actually did 3 attempts to get the audio. The first attempt, I listened to it back. I was asleep within the first 5 minutes. I mean, it's my book. So then I did a second attempt, and I thought, right, well, I've really got to wrap this up. And then I don't know, I sounded like I was on something. It was just like it went too fast. I'm like, oh no, this is no good. And so I managed to find the happy medium, I'm hoping.
So you actually act during this whole reading? You're doing the voices and everything?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm trying to, yeah.
So when there's Noel dialogue, what does that sound like? Do you deepen your voice?
No, what? Yeah, there was one line, it wasn't Noel speaking, where it says, I break your heart, you break your heart, I'll break your face. I had to do it like that.
That was your best Noel impression.
That wasn't Noel saying it was someone else, but you know, you have to try, because it's a threatening tone, so
Yeah.
you've got to like, you deepen your voice a bit.
Nice.
You break her heart, I'll break your face.
Brilliant. All right, there you go. You should get the Audible version just for
Definitely.
this, just to see the performance, or hear the performance. That's
Do you know,
awesome.
actually, the audio is the thing I'm the most nervous about.
Oh, really? Why? Why is that?
Oh,
Is
because-
it because you don't like the sound of your own voice?
Absolutely,
None of
yeah.
us do, though, right? Nobody likes the sound of their own voice. To all of us, it's going to sound normal.
Yeah, no, that was hard. Listening to it back and critiquing myself, I was way over the top. I was way harsh.
So if you could go back and, back a year or so and give yourself advice about this whole book writing process, or 2 years,
Yeah.
what advice would you give yourself?
Don't be too critical on yourself. Just write it first. Just get everything down on a page and then begin to cut back. Because I started and I stopped and I started and I stopped. And each time I started again, I started from the beginning again. So, yeah, I think that just get it down on paper, keep going and then edit.
How much of a role did the editing process take? I know that when somebody else reads it for the first time, they're pushing back on some things, they're suggesting some edits, some stories get taken out. What is that like? How did you deal with that from a self-assuredness point of view?
Well, that's where your publishers come in. They're very good, and you trust their expertise, you trust their feedback. And put it this way, I will never release the first copy. I don't think I'd have any friends after it.
Wow. Well, we're actually doing a giveaway of the first copy. For everybody who buys 1,000 books, you get the first copy thrown in for free.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about the process. We've talked about what that journey has been like. What is next? We've kind of hinted at what might be next. I mentioned straight out of the gate that this isn't the end of a journey for you. This really is the beginning of a journey for you. So what is next?
Yeah. For me, it is about activating people to bring change to those in their life. And so, there will be more to come from me. We're starting YouTube. Just stay connected on our social media. I want to show that love and kindness can change the world. And sometimes we think that other people are responsible for doing that, but actually we're responsible for it. How we interact, how we engage with other people in our world is so significant. And if we all play our part with whatever we've been given, to whatever degree that is, together we can change the world. And that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
And I want to show that, sorry, Ruben. I want to show that because I think, a lot of times we can hear about doing good works and we can talk about it a lot, but where is the demonstration of that? And I think we hear bad news all the time, and I think we need to make prominent the good things that are happening in our world because we see all the bad and it depresses us and, it's time that we saw the good, hey?
Yeah, totally. Isn't that awesome? Can you drill? I want you to drill down a little bit into that, though. You know, that's a great concept. Awesome. I think we would all agree. We all need to be activated. We all need to do more good in the world.
Yeah.
We all need to help other people. But what if you could choose one thing for everybody who, as soon as they close that cover and put the book down, what would you want them to do specifically for the people around them who are on the fringes, the people who don't feel loved? What would you want the people who read this book to do for them?
Yeah, I would want us to put aside any prejudice or the way that we think we see people and try and be in their shoes and ask ourselves the question, would they see it the same way? So that we can actually really see people, engage with people and love them where they're at, not where we're at, not where our opinion is, but really love them in the position and the circumstances that they're in, to really see people. And that takes intentionality with us. And it takes us actually addressing some of those things in our life that would naturally distance us from other people. And I would challenge everybody to actually engage with people who are different to you, who have not had the same walk of life as you, who are not in the same social circles and networks. Go and engage with people who are completely different. I tell you now, it will change your life, and you will see life in a totally different perspective.
Yes, so good. Iron doesn't sharpen iron inside an echo chamber. So get out there and mix with people who aren't like you. And you and I have done some interviews on social media over the past few months. And one of the things I remember us talking about, you know, your faith obviously plays a huge role in this. And you know, as a Christian, as somebody who follows Jesus, the idea of righteousness is important. And I remember we talked during one of our Instagram lives about the fact that the Hebrew word for righteousness we think is a mental thing, but it's actually, the Hebrew word literally means to go out and help other people, to be generous, to serve people who are less fortunate than you are. And Scripture tells us that we should pursue righteousness. So we should pursue opportunities to be generous, pursue opportunities to help people who are in need, pursue opportunities to help the least, the last, and the lost. That's really your story, right? If I was to sum it up.
Absolutely, I couldn't say it any better, Dave. You've said it exactly how I'd want to say it. I mean, that is the model of Jesus, isn't it? He didn't actually stay amongst his own kind. He didn't stay amongst the religious people. He was out. He was with those that were sick, that were broken, that were hurt, that were wounded, and that's where I want to be.
Yeah, and I think my greatest takeaway from the book is we often, especially in a Western culture like ours, we think that if somebody's in need, I can write them a check and that will solve the problem. You're somebody who could have just written a check. You could have written several checks, but you didn't. You went in and you got your boots dirty. Is that part of what you would want for people to expand their definition of what it means to love extravagantly?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have different purposes on our life, and there are those that their purpose is to, you know, create wealth in order to enable others financially, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. My journey was that the investment was actually me. And yes, it did change their life, but it didn't half change mine. And I think that was what I needed. I needed a different perspective in my life so that I could love more extravagantly and connect with people on a different level.
So good. Can we just give it up one more time for Ange? We're going to hear more from Ange in a moment. Thank you, Ange.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, you know, people who know Ange and know her well, you know that she's a devoted wife, but she's also a very devoted mother as well. And we're about to hear from her son, Dara, and their band, Boom Shakalaka. But before we hear from Boom Shakalaka, I'm going to ask Dara to come up. Can you come up for just... I'm putting him on the spot. I'm totally putting him on the spot here. I'm going to give you a microphone. He literally did not want this to happen, but I wanted to put you on the spot. Is that on? Just... So before you go and, you know, you get your whole thing together, what was it like to see your mum go through this process of writing this book?
I mean, she had her times when she was very stressed. I could tell that, because she would mainly get a bit antsy with me. But And with the second recording that she said was too fast, that's because I told her she sounded like she was on speed and she didn't like it anymore. So,
Dara, have a seat. Let's talk. This is getting good now. So you listened to it back. How fast was it? And how many people have you met who are on speed that you knew to make that comparison?
it sounded like Porky Pig from Coventry.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so...
How does it feel to be the son of an author now? When you look around this room and you see, first of all, how many people have gathered to honour your mum, when you see a life-size banner right next to you of your mum, and she's looking down on you right now, what does that feel like for you as a son?
Yeah. It really hasn't hit me yet, but I can just say it's about time.
Yeah.
She has been planning this for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's great to see it's finally out and ready for people to read.
Isn't that awesome? How proud of you of your mum on a scale of 1 to 10?
Solid 9.9.
A solid 9.9?
Yeah.
That's not too bad, right? I would take that. Ange, I would take that. I would have taken anything above a 7 from my kids. Have you read the book?
I haven't read it in its entirety. So...
He's waiting for the audio.
Yeah. And me being dyslexic and words do not mix.
Get the audio.
Yeah.
Get the audio. Tell us a little bit about what we're about to hear.
So,
because I was going to introduce it, but I have no idea.
Okay, so we're going to play a piece called Trio per Uno, and the first movement of it is arranged for 3 bongos and 1 bass drum, but we've kind of cut it down a bit, so we kind of have this like bit where we speed up in the middle, and an end. But yeah, so it's just and we've got Aidan and Quinn over there. We're all first years at the con, and so.
For the people who don't know, especially those who are watching online in Sweden, what is the con?
It's the Conservatorium of Music, so yeah.
Nice. So you're actually reading music. You're drumming, but you're reading music, right?
Yes, we are reading music.
That's pretty talented. All right, everybody, let's hear it for Dara Williams and Boom Shakalaka. Thanks, buddy. Thank you so much. Dara and Boom Shakalaka are available for weddings. Just go and have a chat with Dara afterwards. I literally didn't know you could do that on drums. I was impressed. I thought they were going to play like, you know, the drum part from Phil Collins. Oh, everybody knew. I didn't even have to name the song. You all knew, yeah. That's what I was hoping they would do, but that was awesome. Well done. Hey, right now what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of a book reading. So we're going to read a little bit out of the book, and I'm going to ask Ange to come up, and I'm going to ask Beck to come up as well. Let's give them a hand as they come up. I'm just handing it over to you.
Isn't this exciting?
We made it.
Yes. So, we've had quite the journey, haven't we, Angela?
We certainly have.
We've got to know each other very well.
We have.
Yes.
And you've got to know this book probably better than I have.
I really have, but I think you know it better. We might know it similar.
Yeah.
And there's quite some interesting stories throughout your book, Angela. And one in particular, I mean, when you were born, your dad had built up his business and you were living quite an extraordinary life. Can you tell us a little bit about some extraordinary things? I think there's a particular story in your book, and you were on a beach.
That's right.
And so was the community, eating their ice creams. And
Yes.
Some of you are nodding. I think you might know this story.
I think you may know if you've read the book already.
But it's something that probably hasn't ever happened to anyone else. Put your hand up if you know the story and it has happened to you. Has happened to you. Oh, okay, we do have one.
Okay. So this just gives you a little bit of a taste in some of the extraordinary things that used to happen in my life. And I call this the helicopter story. So, get comfortable. Says, I often felt very embarrassed when our lifestyle was on display, particularly if our arrival by helicopter was seen by the public. Like the time when I was still at home with my parents and we went on a family holiday to a remote village in the south of England in Branscombe, Devon, a small rural village with a population of just a few hundred people. We owned a holiday home there where we often spent a few weeks during the summer. One morning, my dad got an urgent call to go into work, which was over 4 hours' drive away, so he called for the helicopter to come and pick him up. The only clearing large enough for a chopper to land was at the beach. We arrived at the beach in our usual summer attire, except for my dad, who was in a full pinstripe suit and tie, with shirt and a briefcase. All the elderly people and holiday makers that usually congregated there for their mid-morning tea and scones were giving him strange looks as though the Prime Minister had just walked into their village. I began to feel embarrassed as I looked around to see all these unassuming holiday makers in their singlets and thongs, or for those from the UK, vests and flip-flops, sucking on their ice creams, not realising that in about 2 minutes it would likely be blown into their faces, I've lost my space, yeah, by helicopter blades. At that moment, the thudding sounds began to penetrate the air in the distance. We recognised and knew immediately that any minute now, this tranquil beachside scene was about to become bedlam. As the thuds got louder and louder, people began to look around at where the noise was coming from. And before they knew it, the wind picked up and ice creams were falling off the cones, skirts were blowing up over their heads, sand and dust was whipped up into people's faces and into their food. We had well and truly disturbed the peace, and now every eye in the place was looking at the man in the pinstripe suit as the helicopter appeared hovering over their heads. People were ducking for cover, taking to the ground in terror as the pilot Mike Rank plotted the spot and landed the chopper. With the propellers still spinning, my dad tucked his briefcase under his arm, ducked his head and jumped in the passenger seat, and up and away he went. We waved him off and watched him disappear into the clouds. When we turned around, the entire village seemed to be glaring at us, with their hair still dishevelled and their mouths wide open and ice cream still dripping off their collars. We just smiled, gave a little wave, and made our way back home, without so much a whisper of what all that was about.
Very inconspicuous Angela.
Very much so.
You just blended in with the crowd there, didn't you?
Yes.
One of my other favourite stories, and there's so many of my favourite stories in it, but I think your husband Noel is a very brave man. And I do recall there was a story about something he was quite nervous to do and ask for your hand in marriage. Could you
That's
tell
right.
us?
I think any man that goes and asks the Father would know the nervousness and intimidation of this moment. So perhaps you haven't had the same experience. So, okay, it says, when it came to the big question of will you marry me, Noel thought he'd do the respectful thing and stick with tradition by asking my dad for permission. He'd been working up the courage for a few weeks to ask him, and eventually, after missing many opportune moments, he became impatient with himself and he just picked a moment and he went for it. That day, Noel had been spent all day at the house waiting patiently for the perfect moment to get my dad alone while chewing on his nails in nervous anticipation. It was well into the evening before he finally made his move. My dad had disappeared upstairs on his own and Noel waited a few moments before following him. He eventually found him in one of the rooms at the far end of the house in a very unusual place for him to be. He appeared to be busy working on something and had his back turned away from the door. Well, Noel thought, it's now or never. So he took a deep breath and with the calmest voice he could muster, he said, Bob, is now a good time to ask you something? My dad was startled by the intrusion and immediately turned around, holding a double-barreled shotgun in his hands. Noel froze on the spot, wondering whether my dad had been tipped off about what he was about to ask him and had come prepared to the conversation. My dad was in fact cleaning his equipment for his recent pheasant shooting trip, and Noel was poised, ready to ask his intimidating soon-to-be father-in-law the biggest question of his life, but hadn't quite pictured him holding a firearm. In that moment of terror, he was annoyed at himself for dithering with such hesitation these past few weeks, causing him to pick the worst possible moment to ask. He had to think quickly on his feet, and instead of being honest with his intentions, he responded with, I wanted to ask you if you needed any help. I was waiting patiently in my bedroom as I was uncertain of the reason why Noel wanted to talk to my dad, but I had my suspicions. I was all the more convinced, however, when the next thing I saw was Noel walking past my bedroom door behind my dad, carrying his guns. I had visions of a World War II-style execution in mind, but thankfully it was just my dad accepting his offer to help.
And you're still married, so he obviously said yes.
He did.
Your
Well,
dad.
the shotgun may have made an appearance a few times.
And I'm pretty sure those guns were really clean by the end of that day because they were cleaning them. Yes. So moving into probably a more serious part of your book, when we get to, I think it's chapter 9, 18, 13. I was wrong. Okay.
Oh, for this story, or do you mean the serious part goes in chapter 9?
So we go into part 2, and we're talking
Yeah.
more about your ministry with the red light area and creating Embrace.
Yeah.
And that has got so many moments that are very moving. And there's one in particular I know you want to read for us today about Marianne.
Yeah. I've chose this one because, I mean, there's lots of stories in here about all the different girls, but I chose this one because I thought it would better just like reflect on the feelings and mood and emotions and the thoughts that I was going through as I was processing everything I was witnessing. So this is Marianne, and obviously all the names of the girls that I interacted with have been changed, so I do have to keep making a mental note of who it actually is. Okay, so around this time I began asking the question, oh sorry, no, that's the end, the start's over here, yeah. I would always be too hard on myself whenever we lost one of the women. I would evaluate every interaction, asking myself if I should have said this or I should have done that. My internal questioning was the most prevalent when we lost Marianne. Marianne was very quiet, reserved, and rarely ever heard any controversy over her from the other women. They rarely ever spoke about her. It was as if she was invisible. Yet she was regularly on the streets selling her body in direct competition with them. We made many attempts to invite her to engage with our team and have a free meal and a hot drink, but each time she simply turned the other way and ignored us. It sounds like an arrogant response, but it never appeared that way. Her body language told me a different story. I may not have been well versed in street language, but I definitely have been more attuned in the skills of reading body language. My years of having to read people who have interacted with me and my family over the years have taught me to be able to read motives pretty accurately. It appeared to me as if Marianne felt that if she wasn't seen, she wasn't really there. Her only way of coping with her life was to live in denial, so she tried very hard to remain invisible to Embrace, which was the charity I formed. I could see she was disappointed in where her life had led her, but I knew nothing about her background or her life, but I got the sense that she had come from a good family, or somewhat affluent home. There was just an air about her that seemed familiar to me, and it drew me to her. She was the one girl I could recognise myself in, if my life had taken the same turn as her. Seeing her was always confronting to me, as if I was looking in the mirror at myself in an alternate reality. I always thanked God for my life and how He blessed and protected me, and I would pray for her every time I saw her, and she would come to know the same extravagant love that I had come to know. I felt a bond with her that she never knew about and that I longed to understand, despite her efforts to shrink into the dark night and not be seen. After over a year or more of no contact, she totally surprised me one night and actually responded to our offer of a drink. She came over for the first time ever, and to my great delight, although she still didn't engage too much and she didn't stop long, but it was a start, and that's all we needed to begin the journey. That first week broke the ice, and before long she was coming regularly to the back of the car. One thing I learnt on outreach is you have to move at their pace, not yours. I wanted to get to know her more and see if Embrace could help her, but she simply wasn't ready. For many of the women, learning to trust people can be a very, very long process, and you can't push them beyond what they're willing to go. The moment you do, you risk losing them for good, and their offer to trust is only ever given once. We seemed to be making great progress with Marianne when suddenly she disappeared without a trace. After a few weeks, we began to get concerned because it was unusual not to have seen her out by now. We didn't see every girl every week. They would often move around to other regions and even cities from time to time, but they'd eventually always find their way back to their home turf. Months passed and we began to inquire with the other women if they'd heard about Marianne. Eventually we got news that she had died suddenly, many months ago, from cracked lung, a drug-related issue. I was devastated. We'd missed our chance with her. I didn't know why this case struck me as hard as it did, but I do know I will not forget how I questioned myself. What more could I have done? I sobbed and I mourned at the thought of her dying alone, without anyone in her world knowing. And she finally got her wish and slipped away in the dark, unseen by anyone.
There's so many sad stories, but you also had so many triumphs as well, didn't you? And there's so many stories that people will want to read in there that really, you've really been so raw and truthful and told these stories so well and seen so many good responses to the work that Embrace has done. So thank you.
Heaps more good stories in there, so I hope you enjoy the read.
Thank you so much for sharing those stories with us. And on a personal note, I know we've picked a good book when the Holy Spirit speaks to me during the editing process through the book.
That's true.
And as I finished reading your book for the first time, I got to the very last sentence. And so part 3 is very encouraging in that it's a practical part of the book where Angela talks to the reader. And if you've read it, you'll know what I mean, and you feel like you are responding to some challenges of how you react in circumstances. And this very last line of the book, as I read it, said, so if you feel that God's telling you to do something, then put your hand up and say, I will. And immediately after I read that, and I was just, a little bit teary, just being so blessed by the book, I got a phone call and it was your dad.
Yeah.
And he said, would you publish my book? And I was very, very nervous, and the words rang in my ears, say I will, and I did. So that's one testimony from your book.
Yeah.
So your book's lovely, and I wish it all the best. Wish you all the best.
Thank you. The feedback so far has been really wonderful for all of you that have written reviews. Thank you so much. I just feel so honoured that you've done that, and you've been so kind and generous in your words. And you know, even this morning I got a message from someone that's read it in America to say that, you know, it's been life-changing for her, and I can't think of a greater response, and that's really what I want you all to get from it. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Angela. Let's hand it over to Dave now.
Yeah. But you still got to. Times I've read that book, I'm just like, I actually got to the point where it just was having no effect on me, and I was, because you have to read it so many times. So, but probably reading it with an audience actually brings home the message.
Yeah.
Because you've got, you know, people that are hearing it for the first time, so you're feeling it with them.
Well, I would say I don't think you should make an excuse for why you get emotional about it. You get emotional about it because you loved extravagantly.
Yeah.
And that there's a price that's paid with that. And a mentor of mine always says, where there's tears, the Holy Spirit is near. So I would say you're still being moved by that story, and it's really good to see.
I think it's more the impact that those stories are going to have now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so excited about that part.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of a Q&A. This is your opportunity to ask any questions that you have of Ange as you've been sitting there, or as you know her, or if there's anything that you want to know about the process. While you think about that, I'm going to do a couple of really quick things. We're going to get a slide up in just a minute that will show you how you can get a copy of the book on Amazon. It's now available for delivery on Amazon, so if you want to do it that way, you don't want to buy it today, which is totally fine. You can just scan that QR code, and you can buy it there. And we would love if you could leave a review as well. That really helps beyond what you could possibly imagine. If you leave a review on Amazon, good or bad, we hope it's good, but we don't want to twist your arm. It just helps this message get out to more people, and for us, that's the big deal. We want more people to read this story and experience the idea of loving extravagantly because they know that they are loved extravagantly. So there's a twofold thing here. We want people who read this book to know that they're extravagantly loved, and therefore they can pass that extravagant love on to other people as well. And for those of you who are watching in Portugal and Sweden and Thailand, Vietnam, Argentina, if you've got questions from the online, we've got an advocate for you in the room who's going to ask any questions that you have of Ange. So I've tried to buy you enough time to finish your burger and to formulate some questions. And we're going to spend a couple of minutes doing this. If nobody's got questions, then that will be awkward, and we'll just sit here silently until somebody has the courage to ask the first question. Oh, we've already got somebody who wants to ask a question. If you want to yell it out, I'll make sure that I repeat it into the microphone so that people online can hear. Paula, do you want to stand? No, you don't have to stand up.
Yes, she does.
Yes, she does. Okay. Paula, you got a question there?
I've listened to Noel's testimony at church at C3. So I know his story.
Stand by.
Maybe, yeah.
There we go.
Right, I listened to Noel's testimony at church when you took me, and how did Noel feel about this was your side of the first 7 years when you didn't have your honeymoon period, because you didn't do what the generation do now, live together, get a home, get a job, do children, then get married thing.
Yeah.
So you got to know Noel when you got married and living together.
Yeah.
How did Noel feel about you introducing the period, like you didn't get your honeymoon period?
Yeah.
That's when you got to know Noel.
Yeah, I think, you know, what Paul is saying is that, sometimes people are in wedded bliss for a while. I think the reality of the fact that, Noel did have an issue with alcohol was a pretty realistic thing that I faced very quickly. Doesn't mean that we didn't have good times in that period, because we did. But obviously that was quite a challenge for me, because I didn't realise just how severe his addiction was and the effect that was going to have on me, and in terms of people around us trying to plan things, trying to navigate your life in that season is very difficult. But we've journeyed along. I mean, we're married 25 years this year. We've journeyed a long way. We've done a lot of things to make up for that, and I think we're at this point where we're really happy to share this story, because there are people that are in that circumstance, and it's it can feel very hopeless, and I know because I felt that. And so we just want people to say there is life after it, and if you work together, you can get through it.
Yeah.
And so that's a victory story.
A victory story. I love that. That's so good. And thank you for asking that question, Paul. That's awesome. What I love about Noel, what I see in Noel, because he's shared some of that stuff with me as well, and what I love about him, and if you're here today, and Ange has talked a lot about her faith, and if you're somebody who doesn't believe the same things that Ange believes, and don't feel the same way about Scripture or God or Jesus, I would just say this, because this is what I see in Noel. I believe that following Jesus makes your life better and makes you better at life. And what I see in Noel is somebody who's following Jesus, and it's made his life better, and it's just made him better at life. I've never met that Noel. I've only met this Noel, and I love him, and I think he's a freaking awesome man. Okay. I'm going to go here first, and then you're next, and then I'm going to go up the back. Thanks, Tony, for running around.
What's that fluffy?
Yeah, that's
it. Okay. Thank you. Can everyone hear me? I loved your story. Thank you very much. What I'm going to ask you is, how do you battle with the Christian ideals and what psychologists tell you to have your boundaries of, yes, it's lovely to love extravagantly, but you've also got to look after yourself.
Yeah.
How do you cope with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of stories in the book where I talk about, you get personally invested into people's lives, and obviously you do have to have those protective barriers so that, the effects of their life don't affect you. So to me, that was in my faith. It was like, actually, God carries the burden for me. I'm just out working it, And so I think for me, that was the biggest thing that was enabled me to maintain those boundaries. Not saying I didn't overstep them, but I soon learned when I was carrying the weight of their lives that actually I need to pull back, or I need to watch myself. And I had a great team around me too, and we all looked out for each other. But I don't have psychology training or any professional qualification in that. I just had to really feel my way through. And in a situation like that, you really have to know yourself, and you have to know what your triggers are. You have to know how far you can go and how not. And initially for me, I was working out those boundaries, but I got there in the end. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think boundaries are so important, right? You put boundaries up to protect the things that you love, and so I think in any, sometimes when you are loving extravagantly, the boundaries help, and sometimes those boundaries are 12-foot high prison fences, and sometimes they're white picket fences that's unlatched so people can come in and go. So it just depends on the situation. Thanks for sharing that. That's a great question.
Great question.
We've got I believe we've got a question from Copenhagen. And so, Jeanette, you're going to ask an online question. We've got people watching online. Turn around and give them a wave. Let's go. Hi, everybody online. Brilliant.
This is actually my question, is that okay?
Oh, okay.
So we are waiting for the questions to come in from Copenhagen. Come on, Copenhagen, come in.
Come on, hashtag come on Copenhagen.
Okay, so I can confess that I have read the original manuscript.
Woof.
So I read the long version, which was awesome. And it was an incredible roller coaster of laughing. I can't count the number of times that I laughed, particularly at stories of Noel, or funny things that he did throughout their lives and things that happened. But it really is a massive roller coaster of laughing. I cried in it, and I really didn't expect that to happen at all. So I feel like I've been behind the scenes in terms of Angela's story. But the question that I wanted to ask is, given that you have grown up in a kind of background that most of us can't possibly imagine, and that's the concept of extravagant life to extravagant love, what's something unexpected, bearing in mind all the conversations that we've had along the way about disabling the labels, what's something unexpected that you would like to share about the life that you have lived through that we wouldn't expect?
Cool. You could have given me a heads up on that one.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think when you live with a certain amount of extravagance, you don't want to lose the awe of it, because the awe of it isn't about the thing, it's about the blessing that comes with it. And we're in a family that I don't think we've ever lost how God has blessed us, and it's never become old, and we're never not surprised by something amazing. We may have experienced it 10, 20, 30 times before, but we're still in awe of how God's blessed us. And I think that to me, so we always feel surprised, and we're always humbled, and we're always honoured. And I think it's really important that you keep that value, so that you don't, that it doesn't become normal life, and that you always honour God for it.
That's so good. So, Ange, as a kid, what was it like growing up in the Downton Abbey house? That's what I have in my head.
I hung out with the scullery maids.
I don't even know what that is. Because I don't watch Downton Abbey. I really don't. Yeah.
So, Ange, I guess my question was more looking around the room, maybe knowing a few people here, or people who are listening from all over the world. They might have a story to share as well, and making a book might be something that they've never done before, never considered, or maybe it's something they've thought about, but maybe you might have some advice. What are some tips or something that you would share now that you're on this end of the journey?
Yeah. I think be honest with your truth. Be vulnerable. I think we're in a world where we like to paint the perfect picture. This is who we are. This is, the glitz and the glamour of life. But if you're gonna write your story, then write it honestly, because it's actually going to take you on a much greater journey, and your reader is going to hear the authenticity, and they are going to pick up the message. And so that would be my advice.
I think that's great advice, especially like talking to Ange from a writing point of view, and I know some of the authors the books that you read, comparison would have been such an easy thing. Well, this is not going to be as good as whatever book, and especially in the modern day world, right? I've got 3 daughters. I don't want them to fall into the comparison trap, especially when they open up Instagram and they see everybody's highlight reel and they compare that to their real life. How did you avoid trying to write like your favorite author?
Well, actually, the reason this book has been in process for many years, and I got to a stage where I actually had a little bit of writer's block, because I'd put it out to publishers, and because my book is my story for the first 2 parts, and then the third part really is a reflection for you, because I want to activate whoever reads it that can take the keys from my life and apply it to yours.
That's good.
And so a lot of publishers, not the beautiful publishers I ended up working with, but a lot of them said, well, are you writing a memoirs or are you writing a self-help book? And I'm like, well, I don't just want to write memoirs, because I don't just want to write, hey, look at this wonderful life and great life I've lived, look at the great thing I've done, because there's no purpose in that for me.
Yeah.
And then I don't just want to write a self-help book, because who's going to read that? Nobody really knows. So I wanted to combine the two. So actually, you know, to give yourself some your history and your background, so that people actually might want to listen to what you say. I've forgotten the question now. What was it? I'm waffling on too much.
I was asking about comparison between what you were writing and writers you read.
So I kind of feel like I've actually written something that's unique. And I have written it, like I think a lot of authors, or particularly in the Christian world, a lot of Christian books are saying, hey, you know, I've won a victory, I'm in this really good place now, I was here, but I'm here now, these are the steps you need to do to get to where I am. Whereas I didn't want to do that. I wanted to say, hey, this is what it was like when I was there. And so I want to meet you in your pain, while you're walking through that journey. And I want you to go step by step with me. So this is where we can go.
Yeah,
so.
that's good. Are there any other burning... Oh, look, like this time, the hands just went up. I feel like I just gave an altar call. Oh.
Fine, okay. I want you to speak on resilience, because I think it's something that you display. And can you talk to the time when you were working on the streets with the girls, a time when it was tough? Because I'm sure you started this charity, you didn't take it over, so birthing something is always great and painful.
Yeah.
Can you talk on resilience in that space, maybe a time when you were really finding it tough, and what was the thing that kept you getting up every morning to give your life to people that you didn't know?
Yeah.
Great question.
It's a great question, and it's almost going to be a spoiler alert for the most poignant point in the book. So I don't know whether to share the story or not, so I'll try and breeze over it so I don't ruin it for you. But really, because you think often it's actually the girls and their lives that it would be the hardest thing. Actually, what the hardest thing for me was the opinion and the interaction of people that were in my world. So family and friends. You know, maybe some were in support of you and some weren't, and some had questions of why were you doing this, why do you need to do this, so they question your why. When the people you love question your why, you begin to question your why. And that's really where my faith came in, because I'm not doing it to please other people. I had to get to the point, I'm doing this to please you, God, and that enabled me to continue. So, hope that answers that.
It's a great.
But you made me think of something, so I've got two things to say. If you haven't read the book, read it. I've had many coffees and intimate conversations with Angela, and so I've heard 99% of the stories in the book before, but when I read it, it was as if you were telling me again. It was so intimate, and it was like the intimate coffee dates that we had, so it was a real intimate look into her life, which was really well written, and probably a credit to the editing team as well. But on the, you made me think of something you shared once at a coffee, was that everyone in your family has written books before. And so knowing that everyone has written books and published books, how did that affect you writing the book, and how you felt about writing a book and comparing with what they've written and your journey with that? Did you have input from your family, or did you write it and give it to them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my book is really my story. It's not really their story, so they write their own stories. My dad's just written a book. It's not for public sale or anything. He's done it. But I think we all go on a process of, actually, you get really great perspective on your life when you write a book, and I think it helps you to understand some of the things that have happened in your past, and you get a good perspective. But it was important to me, because I'm obviously talking about family members and, you know, friends and that in my book. So the key people in my family that I really wanted to get their approval, I sought their approval, and thankfully I got it. So we were able to be here today. And actually, so one of them is my dad. I talk a lot about my relationship with my dad. I was a big daddy's girl, yeah. And I talk a lot about that relationship in the book. And so his approval for me was a big thing on this book. And I remember kind of having the conversation, okay, you okay about this bit being in there? You okay about that? We kind of thrashed it backwards and forwards. And in the end, he said, Angela, this is your story. You have the right to tell it as you want. And to me, that was like a big tick. Yes, let's go. So
Yeah.
I got his approval.
That's so awesome. Hey, look, I'm sure that other people have questions, but we're going to have time for that later, as the afternoon sort of progresses. But we're going to go and cut this cake now.
Yep.
So as you make your way over to the cake cutting area, which is just there, hey,
If you haven't seen it,
shout out to who was the people that made the cake?
Be Caked. Her name's Beck.
Be Caked.
Be Caked. Recommend them highly.
The letter B.
B-E, Caked.
Oh, Be Caked, B-E Caked. So you can head over there. As Ange heads over there, I just want to encourage all of you guys, if you don't follow Ange on social media, now's a good time for you to break out your phones, because she's going to take a minute
They
just
should
to...
look at the cake before I cut it. And ruin
Yeah,
it.
well, we're going to do that.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
trying to get them to follow you on social media first.
All right.
Take out your phones right now. Do we have a slide with social media handles on there? No, if you know, that's fine. I've got it all. It's where? Instagram, Ange Dawn Williams. Twitter, Ange Dawn Williams. On Facebook, it's Angela Williams Official. So make sure, I'm literally not seeing anybody break out their phone. So I assume you all already follow. Thank you, ma'am. I'm trying to get people to actually get into action here. Hey, we all got free food and drink. We should be just following her on social media is what I would say. Oh, look, here we go. And make sure you check out her website as well. If you take photos from today, we would love to see them and collect them and share your photos on our social medias. So if you make sure you use the hashtag Extravagant Love and the hashtag Angela Williams so that we can track them, and then we're going to use them, and user-generated content is a huge thing, so we would love to do that as well. Okay, do you want everybody to come over? I think everybody should. No? No.
What, bring the cake over?
Like to crowd around you? I don't know. I feel like we're at a wedding.
If you haven't looked at the cake,
If you haven't looked at the cake, why don't you get up and have a look now?
It's
Stretch your
amazing.
legs for a second, because it is a spectacular cake. It is absolutely amazing. Photos. Huh? No.
I'll do it like that. I can't get to the bottom. There we go. Thank you.
It's just going to come up and some people to thank and that sort of thing as well. So if we could just chill for a sec, and we're just going to have a couple of thank yous from Ange. Ange, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just looking where my husband is.
He's here. You good?
Okay, I'm calling out for my husband, Noel. Where are you? But he's in the bathroom. He's always in the bathroom. And he is! Always in the bathroom. He's worse than me. Yeah, there's some people we really want to thank. This has been a wonderful afternoon, and we're both very grateful for all of you for attending and coming and being part of what has been a fabulous day for us, and one that we've waited a long time for. But Noel, your job's to go and get all the presents. We've got a few presentations to make, which I'm sorry, but families, just bring them all along. If you bring 3 sets of flowers up, because I want to ask if Tony and Rebecca and Stuart and Jeanette and Dave and Meg would come to the stage. Please. So these guys have been my team. They have been my absolute rock. I tell you, any finished product, any book, it's not someone that's done it on their own. They've done it with a team, and I honestly could not have done this without you guys. So we've got Tony and Beck Publishing, Star Label Publishing. Any of you want to write a book, I totally recommend them to you. They do a bespoke service which is totally fits to you. Stuart and Jeanette have been marketing strategists and media production. Did I get that right? Yes. So they're called Story Strategists, and these guys have really helped us. They've done all like the media presentations, and then we have Dave and Meg from MD Creative at the end there, and hey, you've got to check out all the little cookies. Meg has been brilliant sourcing these cookies, and Dave, obviously, thanks for doing all the hosting, and I know you guys have put these boxes together, and and the social media, of course, all the social media stuff. So these guys have been amazing and really, really grateful. So we've got some flowers for you, but we also have the gifts. You've got to go and get the gifts, honey. Thank you. So I think they deserve a big round of applause. Sorry, I did try and water them earlier, but you might get wet feet. I'm sorry. So there's some little goodies as well. That's for you. That's for you. And their names are in the top.
Thank you.
And there's some more. There's more. Well, it is an extravagant party, isn't it? You didn't need that fun, really, did you? There you go. More. As I say, love these guys. They have absolutely become, they've absolutely become family to us. And so, really, really thank you. Love you guys. And we'll see you on book 2. Give them a round of applause. Thank you. It's been quite an emotional journey. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, where's my little thing? You can bring up the other box. Okay, there are some other people that I really want to mention as well, and so I'll try and get through them as quickly as possible because, you know, we've got to get to some book signings, haven't we? So, Terry Hanlon is our photographer, and she's been our photographer through many events, and some of you have been at these events. Always produces amazing photographs, and so we want to give you the present. This is for you. These are our boxes that only very special people get. So there you go. Thank you, Terry.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much.
That's my indication is you better make our photographs look really good. So I also want to make mention to Story Strategist, the team members here, Liam and Faith. They've been part of the process, so we thank you for them. Maybe Jeanette, you can come and get their card and a little gift for them. I'll leave that there. Yeah. So thank you to these guys. And then I also want to make mention of Roxanne. Where is Roxanne? She's here at the back. Roxanne was the first, I told you I got a writer's funk, yes? Well, I went to Roxanne and I said, can you get me out of it? And she says, yes, let's see what we can do. So she sat down and she helped me formulate the book, put it into the right order, and I was on my way. So thank you, Roxanne. We'll give you we've got some flowers for you and a card, so if you want to come and grab them. And all these guys have got their details on the back, so if you are interested in a book. Thank you.
So proud of you.
Okay, and of course, Andre, for that amazing front cover. One I will be proud of for the rest of my life. So I cannot pay you enough, but thank you. Thank you. I also want to mention James Russell. He's not here, but he did the audio book recording. He was really awesome. Braden and the... Do we call you Quintessentials? What was it? Quintessentials. Quintessentials, thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Haven't they been awesome? What we didn't tell you is Braden is actually Dara's housemate, and these guys are all from the conservatorium as well, and so they're all friends, which is wonderful. You've had some good quality music today. Obviously Dara and the percussion team, but I didn't write you a card, Dara, but you know. But I do thank you guys for coming.
You wouldn't read it anyway.
I want to thank the Lake House as well for hosting us. And also Jessie's going to be doing some photography, so thank you guys. But I wanted to really mention the people that have endorsed the book. Many of you are here. So honestly, having your endorsements, and I'm hoping Simon and Ali are watching online. That's just like having you a part of this process, and having your encouragement and your support of me right from the early days. You read some of the earlier copies. It just really helped to spur me on to get over the finishing line, and thank you for all your encouragement. So that's, give a clap as we say these. Mike Jeffs, Bronwyn Healy, Jeanette Harris, Andrew and John Staggs, David, Jenny Gilpin are with us today, and Simon and Ali Jarvis, so I thank them. And I just have two final announcements, and I wish I had a bunch of flowers right now, because I wanted to wish Tim and Christy a happy 11th wedding anniversary. That deserves a round of applause. And finally, if you didn't know, it is... Didn't think... It is actually National Hug a Drummer Day. Who knew that? So we have a few drummers in the house. Go for your life. Now I am going to go, give me 5 minutes. I'm going to go and sign some books. Or were you meant to be announcing that? Sorry. Just jumping the gun about. He was giving me the look. I know the look.
Let's give it up for one more time. So basically that's the end of official proceedings. Quintessential is going to be playing some, I don't know, can you? Yes, they can. So talk amongst yourselves, have yourself to some drink, things like that. And then Angie's going to be just, in a minute, she's going to be sitting over there signing books. So if you've got a copy of the book, or if you want a copy of the book, she would love to be able to just write a personal message to it and really personalize it to you guys and put it into some context. So take the opportunity to do that as well. Thank you guys so much for coming. I hope this was an enjoyable way to spend your afternoon. I thought it was absolutely awesome. And yeah, if there's any questions, please let us know. It's so great having you all here. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon for the next book. Cheers.
There's keys in this book that's going to help you do that. Can I say that again?
Sure. Angela, who is the book? Angela, who should read the book?
Congratulations! Hold that, I'll try it. Like a cracker. Oh my goodness. How weird is that? Oh my goodness, to see it in your hands. So weird. Feels so good. Well done. Oh, thank you. Well done. Wow, it looks so much better in the flesh. Yeah. It's a real. It really is. Oh. It actually, I love like the layout, the spacing in that. It's really good. Yep. Oh, that's good. So, like it's cool. Oh, well done. You too. I know, but
Like, it's a combination, hey?
Yeah, it's a team effort. You see a chapter start.
Talk me through this new special edition, Beck.
Okay, so we have the gold on the extravagant, or the gold, hang on, let me stop.
I just want to see how it feels for you unpacking a book that's got your story in there.
I love unpacking books. I wish I could read. Now I'm really excited, really excited. There's some gold in this, and I hope you guys see it as well.
It's an exciting day.
Right, I best get the iron done.
Box of books. I'm gonna have a look inside. These are the special pre-release copies for those of you that signed up. It's coming your way.
Angela, here is your hardcover. Ta-da!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everyone's got a story. That's it. Just some more colourful than others, that's all. Some of you can't tell, that's the problem.
did one for Andrea, but I wanted to. Did I not get another? No, both of you. No, because one will keep to the pieces to show the final, and one we want to read and go through and line and line. So that's why.
I guess how much they're willing to pay. Oh, it's those guys. It's those guys, I better go. See you later, guys. Yes, and
that one's to my daughter was Shana, S-H-A-R-N-A. You'd have to get that S-H-A-R-N-A. Shana, S-H. S-H, yeah. Can you make that into an S? Yeah. And now. That's cool. I don't know
Thank you. We're going to go.
Thank you. Look amazing. You've actually inspired us. We want to have a New Year's Eve Talking to My Ball Gown night where we all wear ball gowns. We're in July.
Good work.